I really thank all of you to battle all the pollution and still be with us. Shows the importance of the subject we are discussing. To begin with, we are honored and delighted to partner with the High Commission of South Africa in organizing this conference in run-up to the G20 summit to be hosted in Johannesburg. Thank you all for coming in large numbers. It's delightful to see so many friends and familiar faces in the audience. Everybody out here is important in his own way, but I'd like to recognize ambassadors and special friends in the audience. His Excellency Bangladesh High Commissioner to India, Surya Hamdullah Sahab, Ambassador of Colombia, Estonia, Chile, and others, Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia, a distinguished expert, and Mr. J.S. Mukul, and others. And of course, Dean of, I'm so sorry for this singular omission, also Ambassador of Uruguay, Dean of Paraguay, and Dean of Diplomatic Corps, Ambassador of Eritrea. So welcome to all of you once again. This conference is part of a series of events we are organizing to mark the 10th anniversary of our organization, India Rights Network, and 5th anniversary of Center for Global India Insights, a think tank focused on global affairs. In a world fraught with risk and volatility, CGII provides in-depth analysis and decodes larger global trends through independent research and first-hand empirical sources. Our core mission is to shape a people-centric foreign policy and craft a multidisciplinary discourse for the rise of India as a global power with its unique voice and narrative. We have organized several seminars, published books, and issue briefs to shape the discourse on foreign policy and the rise of India as an important global player. We have partnered with leading think tanks, embassies, and institutions to organize conferences on themes related to India's foreign policy. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we are extremely fortunate and privileged to have such a star-studded panel. His Excellency, South Africa's High Commissioner to India, Ambassador Manish Chand, His Excellency, Brazil's Ambassador to India, Kenneth Nobrega, His Excellency, High Commissioner of Australia to India, Mr. Philip Lee, and Sue Serpa of Ministry of External Affairs, G20, Mr. Sambu Haki. Friends, let me just set the context for today's panel discussion. We are meeting exactly 10 days before the G20 summit in Johannesburg. This panel discussion could not have been better timed. We are also meeting at a time of enormous turbulence in the international arena, triggered by geopolitical crisis and conflicts. We are living in an age of radical uncertainty. Some would say the only certainty now is uncertainty. In a deeply polarized world, 4 P's dominate international discourse: holy crisis, paranoia, polarization, and perplexity. We need to find a new vocabulary of optimism and renewal to navigate this complex and conflicted world, and this is where the G20 summit in Johannesburg matters. As Johannesburg hosts the summit on November 22-23, it's time to look back at the path traversed so far and look ahead to the journey, next cycle of G20 presidencies, beginning with the US in 2026. The journey from the first summit at the height of the global financial crisis in November 2008 to the summit in Johannesburg in November 2005 has seen many milestones and consolidated the status of the grouping as the world's premier forum for managing and stabilizing the global economy. Over the last few years, the G20 has moved beyond the economic realm to expand its canvas to include geopolitical crises and hotspots. With multilateralism under stress and the UN system increasingly seen as ineffectual, the G20, some would say, has become the go-to place for addressing global challenges. The overarching theme of South Africa G20 presidency is solidarity, equality, sustainability, with focus on interlinked issues including debt sustainability, climate finance, and critical manners for inclusive growth. South Africa seeks to elevate the African agenda within the G20, promoting its philosophy of Ubuntu, which emphasizes interconnectedness and collective action. To give you an idea of how the world had changed over the last 2 decades, the combined GDP of the G20 economies in 2008, when the first summit was held, was around $62 trillion. In 2025, the combined GDP of G20 economies is around $113-14 trillion, nearly double of what it was when the G20 started. But at the same time, global economic inequality is rising, with wealth becoming more concentrated in the hands of the richest 1%. Between 2000 and 2024, the top 1% has captured 41% of all new wealth. At the same time, inequality within many countries is increasing, though inter-country inequality has seen a slight increase due to the growth of rising Asian economies like India and China. Against this backdrop, South Africa declared inequality emergency. President Cyril Ramaphosa has underlined South Africa's commitment to placing the fight against global inequality at the center of upcoming G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg. The report by the G20 Extraordinary Committee of Independent Experts on Global Inequality, commissioned by South Africa G20 presidency, needs greater global attention. The report, led by Nobel Prize-winning economist Professor Joseph Stiglitz, represents the first comprehensive examination of inequality to be presented to the G20 for consideration. Inequality is not only a moral issue, but a threat to democracy, inclusive growth, and global peace. It is now up to the leaders of the G20 economies when they meet in Johannesburg to address this issue. To conclude, as a new world emerges, the world will have a set of emergencies to deal with on the war front. There is climate emergency, there is financial emergency, and there is need to pay greater heed to inequality emergency. I will urge all speakers today to come out with suggestions and recommendations to address this set of interlocking emergencies so as to forge a more effective G20 and a truly representative and inclusive world order. With these few words, let me now introduce the keynote speaker of today's panel discussion, High Commissioner Anil Shukla. None of our speakers really need any introduction. He is the first Indian person of Indian origin to be appointed South Africa's envoy to India. The High Commissioner has a doctorate in Oriental History from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as another in religious studies from the same university. Most important, Professor Shukla has served as South Africa's Sherpa to various plurilateral and multilateral groupings, including G20, BRICS, IPSA, and Indian Ocean Rim Association. He previously served as ambassador to the European Union, Belgium, and Luxembourg. I can't think of anyone more clued up. And he likes to call himself professor. He's a scholar of eminence, and his familiarity with the rigors of multilateralism, how to process work, is simply unsurpassed. So I invite now High Commissioner Shukla to deliver his keynote address on the core priorities of South Africa G20 presidency.